You've sort of seen it. We've seen the way he's handled certain things with Garnacho getting dropped, with Rashford basically just getting ostracised from the squad.
I think he's got a balance to him where he is that, can be a bastard sometimes, smash up a TV, call you the worst team ever. But then I think he, like we've seen with Garnacho, reintroducing him to the team, he defends a lot of his players in the press.
Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is Off the Bar. I'm joined by Adam McCullough and Jay Motti. As always, how are you doing, lads? You okay?
I'm good.
There's lots to talk about today. Manchester United. We're entering new realms.
Are we back?
Uncharted territory. We're not back, but we might be back one day. We're going to be talking about, now that the season, the team is locked in, there's going to be no more changes to the roster, as they say. Sorry, I've got NBA trade madness going on in my head. There's no more changes to the squad. The transfer window is done. We can now look at what we actually expect from the rest of the season. A little bit as well, on this Leny Yoro interview with Rio Ferdinand, he's kind of speaking about Amorim and his standards. It's a bit more of an insight into what's going on behind the scenes, which I think is going to be interesting to kind of break down and read between the lines to see if we can see a bit more about what Ruben Amorim is actually trying to instill at Manchester United. And also a little bit on some updates in injuries and that sort of thing. Our thoughts on Martinez, Luke Shaw, etc. Cut to Adam there when we said Luke Shaw, because I think Ethan's trying to rile you up, mate. It's not right, is it?
I'm not going to kick a man when he's down.
We'll come back to that.
Lad.
Let's start.
Smash you up.
No. Don't threaten the producer. Let's start with the season then, because as it stands,
it's a good laugh.
It's
full of cheery topics.
It's a disaster. The season is a disgrace, isn't it? We can all accept that right up top. It's been an utter disgrace. The saving graces have been, weirdly, undefeated Europa League run, finishing 4th or 3rd, I think, in the end.
Right, okay.
Which, on the face of it, is actually decent.
Well, that's good.
Not particularly challenging, but we've made a meal of smaller challenges than that. The Premier League, however, actually no. Before we get to that, there's some more positives. Beating Arsenal away in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
There's maybe only 1 or 2 fixtures you can have that's more difficult than that, and we did it. So you've got to give them some credit for that. The league has been an unmitigated disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute disaster. Other than beating City, not really any standout results, let alone performances.
Draw at Anfield, maybe.
The draw at Anfield, sorry, was decent as well.
Mainly because I thought we feared the worst going in that. I thought that could be another 6 or 7-0 or whatever.
Great again, not another 6-1.
Yeah.
So
annihilation.
How are you feeling, Adam, about the season so far before we look ahead a little bit?
We're just a cup team this season, aren't we?
Yeah.
Really, that has to be the target, to win one of those cups, maybe both if we're lucky. Obviously, we've got, although I'm speaking very soon, we've got an ideal draw in the FA Cup at home against a team that we should be beating. I know there's a lot of teams we should be beating, but and we haven't this season, but still, Leicester draw at home is quite good, especially considering our record against them. So if we can continue to progress in that competition, the Europa League, obviously, as well, I think that's all our eggs should be in the Europa League basket. Right? You look at how poor our finances are at the minute, how tight things are with PSR, you know, the fact that we're nowhere near even getting Europa League spot through the league.
Yeah.
To be in Europe next season, I think, is important. And if you win the Europa League, you get a Champions League spot. So I'd like to see us fully focusing in on that, because it's a winnable competition if we, you know, our form in Europa League hasn't been bad. I think we've conceded a few more goals than maybe we should have against some of the opposition that we've played.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, you know, unbeaten. And after drawing our first 3 games, we were a bit, what's going to happen with this group?
I think like 22nd after the first 3 games, and then we've crept up. We won the 5 after that.
So I'd say it's all on the cups, all on the Europa League, all on the FA Cup, and then in the league, just I would like to start to see us, because look, we're not going to get relegated.
No.
I know it sounds crazy to even say that sentence, but we're not going to get relegated, and we're not going to finish in the top half. So we may as well maybe try and experiment, give a few players opportunities. Aiden Heaven, for example, was brought in as a potential backup for Lisandro Martinez. Lisandro Martinez is now no longer available. I'd rather see us play Aiden Heaven than Victor Lindelof, who's not going to be here next season. And I think prepare and get to know as much of your squad before we do get to the summer. And that's what I think the last video we did, I mentioned how, you know, there was a conversation, should Ruben Amorim have come in at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Like, him learning about these players now is important, because how many times in the summer do we see players come back in from loans, come back in and from bad form, and then you go, oh, maybe they can do something.
Yeah. And also we've had that weird thing as well of multiple managers in a row now saying like they train really well, but then on a weekend they can't put it together. And it's like, I think Ten Hag mentioned it, I think Amorim's already mentioned it as well, about there's a feeling that there's one thing on the training pitch and another thing on the Sunday. So if he's only had a pre-season training and he's trying to speak to the owners about what he needs, and then the season starts, you go, this isn't what I was seeing in training, I need X, Y and Z. Like you said, now he's seen him in the hardest and most sort of real world of Premier League, FA Cup, whatever. He genuinely knows what needs to come into this squad now, at least.
And whilst I don't think it was ideal bringing no players in, I do, unless there was a signing day, like, you know, when we signed Bruno in January, where you like, we'd want him if it was the summer.
Yeah.
We'd happily pay the money if it was the summer, so why don't we do it now? Unless there was signings like that were there in the market, which I don't think there really were, I'm happy to kind of just let this get a little bit worse, like in a weird way, just ride these next few months out. Because I think someone did a thing where it's like we've got a guaranteed 17, or maybe just off with the numbers, a guaranteed 17 games. And if we make the finals of the FA Cup and the Europa League, it's like 26.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like, so you don't need a whole, barring a mental injury list, you don't need a massive squad at the moment.
No. And like you said, we're not, if we were fifth and, you know, 6 points off third and we were trying to get like solidify Champions League and we could get a striker in, I would see us being a bit more desperate. But the league is almost, I mean, it's nothing, is it, at this point?
And PSR is important, sorry, James.
No, go on.
It's important to be in a position where we can spend well in the summer.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a bit frustrating when you see the fact that we're playing Kobe Mainoo up front and we didn't bring in a striker and things like that. But I get your point. I've been more disappointed over previous seasons where we've actually been in a fight for something and we haven't done anything in January. Or we've brought in, you know, there was a time when we were in the cup competitions, we were in, you know, I think 10 points off top, and we brought in Wout Weghorst and Sabitzer on loan. You think, could we not have gone out then and got a striker? Would that not have helped us sort of move up the table? You saw all the other clubs around us, like Arsenal went out and brought Trossard and other clubs brought players, and we didn't quite go for it. You think, was that not a missed opportunity? Go back even further with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he was challenging near the top of the table, and it was like Ighalo, we all loved Ighalo, but did he have the quality that you needed? If we'd have brought in a player like Haaland, for example, who we were linked with in that window, could that have elevated it to an actual real title push that went right to the wire? So those seasons sort of hurt me a little bit more. It's just worrying at the minute how bad we are. That's the big concern. The fact that we're so lacking in goals. And as a fan, I can stomach it. Me and you've said it millions of times. Me and Mako spoke about it. I get it. I get what Amorim's got to work with, and I get what he's got to do, and I'm all for just, you know, stomaching it. My only sort of worry, and I know I keep repeating it, my only worry is that Ineos lose a little bit of faith. They've got to accept that they haven't backed him in January, that he's dealing with an absolute mess, and he needs a full transfer window, like a proper transfer window, and a summer to get these players going. And they've got to give him that. They've got to back him properly this summer.
You know, when you said that, do you mean like you fear they might sack him?
No, I feel like, I know this might sound like slightly contradictory, so I'll explain what I mean. You know, like Erik ten Hag was the manager at the beginning of this season, and they didn't have faith in him. There was like, it was obvious.
You knew from the start.
They didn't, and he had a bad start, and it was almost like waiting. Oh, right, sack him. Like he's lost, 3 out of 4. He's gone. I don't want to go into the next season with Ineos going, we've just finished 17th. Is this the right guy? I know we won't come to that, but we've just finished low. The football's been terrible. We keep getting beat at home. Is this the right guy? And we have a bit of a sticky start, like we have done in the past. We've had it under, very good managers who've struggled in the first few games, whatever, of a full season. And they go, and then they pull the plug sort of halfway through next season. I think they need to back him with the right transfers and with time as well, because it isn't a quick fix.
No matter what happens, he should have till the end of next season.
100% agree with that.
It should be off the table to even consider anything else. You at least, because for me, he'll have only had one season. This doesn't even really count. You came into a shit show, weren't really backed up, had to try and change the whole system, realised that one of your best and biggest name players in Marcus Rashford isn't going to work. He's gone. This is like moving into the new house and get that laminate up and that tap doesn't work. And he's not even moved in yet, really.
No.
He's just looking at the the boiler needs changing before we come. Like, he's doing all that stuff.
Also, it's like
next season's the first year he's properly here.
We've been in. You remember, like when Ollie he took over as caretaker, obviously smashed it, then fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And then the following season, I think, was it the Burnley game, 2-0 at home? Do you remember? And everyone thought he's done. They're going to sack him.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought probably rightly so. Stuck with him, we finished third.
Yeah.
Like, he needed that. And obviously Bruno came in, as you mentioned, and that sort of changed the game. But all of a sudden, Pogba comes back in the team. Martial starts scoring. Rashford starts scoring. We just went on that thing. But had they sacked him after the Burnley game, you wouldn't have had that. And people probably would have stomached it. I think you're right. It might take him a little while next season before we get going. But he's got to at least get a full season.
Yeah.
Like,
my perspective on the manager is as well. In the summer, the slate's wiped clean. Almost.
Yeah.
Like, you know, now you hopefully will have a bit more of a squad that we're happier with.
Yep.
And wipe that slate clean, and now let's get to work.
Yeah, I completely agree. It starts there. This now is like preliminary stuff. Obviously, you don't want to just throw away a season, but unfortunately for us, we have. I mean, let's get into that then. So the Europa and the FA Cup. Do you think we can win one or both of those?
I think we can win the Europa. I don't think we can win the FA Cup. I think that the reason.
Why do you think we can win? Like,
I think the level of the opposition that's in the FA Cup is a lot better than what's in the Europa. I think the best team in the Europa is arguably Spurs or Lazio.
Yeah, Bilbao are having a good.
But we have just
Bilbao.
knocked out the record holders of the competition.
That's a good point. We have, and we have beat City at the Etihad, and we have drawn with the Scouts. I get all that. I just feel that when push comes to shove, I feel like we'll come unstuck against a good Premier League team.
Because even we really struggle against Brighton.
Yeah.
We shit against Palace. Brentford away, we get battered every time.
Yeah.
Like Bournemouth, we get battered.
But then, I've just brought up the draw, right?
Go on, bro.
Liverpool are going to go through. They got Plymouth.
Yeah.
City are going to go through. They got Leyton Orient.
Right.
But Villa play Spurs, and Brighton play Chelsea.
Yeah, that's helpful.
So
but let's say we get the winner of any
Chelsea.
of those 4 games. Can we beat them? Well, we can, obviously, but
at home,
it depends.
in the cup.
Away, maybe.
Well, at home, I think we can beat anyone.
If we get like the other year, I know last year, I know we had Liverpool at home, but let's just swap that with Arsenal away. Outside of that, it wasn't that desperately bad. We had Coventry in the semi-final, which is a bit of a gift. Like, if we could have something like that and then a one-off against...
It's not beyond the realms of possibility.
It's not, but I agree with you. I
feel that, at least on paper, the Europa League is an easier competition.
If you get anyone in the top half of the Premier League, they're better than most teams in the Europa League.
Yeah. Like, I'd rather face... I know Lazio are a good team, Bilbao are a good team, as you mentioned. There's lots of useful teams in there. Galatasaray are a useful team.
Roma.
But City is a different animal. And we've beaten City once this season, but they were in the worst form they've had in 12 years, whatever it was, or 15 years. Yeah. Like, they're not completely back to their best under Pep Guardiola, but they're not as bad as they were. The Scousers are flying, unfortunately.
Yeah, they just find a way to win everything, don't
like, and also, I'm not dismissing that result at Anfield. It was a great result. We should have won it and everything. But it was like we're playing against 10 men with the way Trent Alexander-Arnold was playing. He was absolutely abysmal. Yeah. I think they'll be better if we play him again, is the point I'm getting at. So I just feel like the Europa's the obvious one. And also, look, I love the FA Cup. My best memories. If we won the Europa and got into the Champions League, that'd be hilarious.
That's why it has to be the
that'd
priority.
be so funny.
Yeah.
It has to be the priority.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, imagine we finished 15th and get into the Champions League.
It'd be like when Wigan won the FA Cup and went down. Were they in Europe?
Yeah, they would have.
It'd be similar to that.
Millwall were in Europe when they played us. Because we were already in it.
Yeah.
So they got a pass into the UEFA. I don't think they lasted long, but...
I mean, in the next round of the Europa League, it's one of Galatasaray, Real Sociedad, AZ Alkmaar or Midtjylland.
Midtjylland?
There's
Again?
quite a wide variety of quality there.
No,
Midtjylland would be great.
Makes me think of Rashford.
Only Rashford was still there.
But
he's got a great record against them.
You take AZ Alkmaar or Midtjylland. That one time he played.
I've been there, you know. I went Midtjylland.
Is it Norway? Denmark.
It's Denmark, isn't
Denmark.
it? Yeah. I went there.
Yeah.
I was stayed in like a prison. It was mental.
That's class.
Was it open to the public or were you arrested?
No, like it was open to the public. I might have a picture of it somewhere.
I spent the night in the cells.
I love that he answered that. Like. So it was no, it's open to the public.
No, I wasn't arrested.
The reception there was shocking, by the way.
Was it?
Was it? As in your reception when you arrived off the plane?
Yeah.
People booing you.
He had like H. You know how you get H and he goes H, G,
No,
3G.
E.
Yeah, E. No, E's below H.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I've never seen
yeah.
H before.
It was just H all the time. Like, we couldn't even. Let me try and find. There it is.
Let's have a look.
Was this 2016
midget
class?
Oh,
lads.
you're
Oh,
joking.
there you
Is
go.
that what? Is that when? Obviously, we've only ever played them that time, haven't we?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Where was?
Welcome to Scandinavia. See what they did there?
Why
Nice.
does it say scam on it?
Because the tickets were 70 quid.
Jesus wept.
Where did you meet Bobby Charlton?
Well, that's the place I was staying.
It looks like a bus
prison.
stop.
Looks like a prison. Like, it's genuinely
Did you
prison.
sleep in a bus stop?
Times were hard in
Where did you
our
meet Bobby
house.
Charlton? Where was that?
So what happened was, we were in the ground for the game, but then me and Chris were in there.
Sharp.
Producer Chris, big up him, and the stadium was one of them things where you can just walk around the whole thing.
Oh, big bowl piece.
So we kind of walked around to the media area because we had the camera in that, and then we were like, hold on a minute, there was like a post-match hospitality going on in like the director's box or whatever. So we just mooched in there, and then there was like a presentation and all that stuff going on. But Bobby Charlton was just milling
So
about.
you broke in.
We didn't break in.
Well,
The thing is, when you hold a
and then you spent
camera,
the night in a prison.
when you hold a camera
Doesn't feel like a coincidence.
and you've got a mic,
Yeah.
generally people will open doors for you that aren't supposed to be open.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they think, oh, they're supposed to be here. And
That's
boom.
how you got to Epstein Island, wasn't it?
I didn't need a camera or a microphone for that.
Wasn't a microphone.
Look, no, but it is mad how that happens. Like,
I did that. That's how I.
just suggesting you're part of the media or the press.
That's how I.
Happened at Bristol City, Brentford, like, you know, the corner entrances are the ones.
Yeah.
You know, the corner entrances that club teams have, and you just end up on the pitch somehow, in the corner. Because there'll be a steward there, like,
Yeah.
if I don't let these in, I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they think,
Because
right?
they think that you're kind of almost you might be looking down on them, which obviously you wouldn't be. But they're kind of like, oh, right, this is the press. We better be careful.
Yeah.
Here. And then you just exploit that. Basically,
Honestly,
exploit
when I was a
people's
reporter,
goodwill.
I first time I interviewed David Cameron. I did that. Didn't have a press pass or anything, but just walked with a mic and I was like, "Where's number 10?" And they were like, "Where's the guy from number 10?"
And that's the
And I was in a
president
room
of
with
the
the Prime
United
Minister.
Kingdom of
I know.
America.
Like, just by blagging it. It was mental.
So you
United Kingdom of America.
I can't remember
President of the United Kingdom of America.
So you could have thrown
state.
feces at him or something.
Well, I tried to, but
You couldn't produce a poo on the day, could you?
So I just shook his hand instead.
But that's mad though, isn't it? Literally getting to the most powerful man.
But I was literally like acting like I should have been there. Like, who's here from number 10?
So what were you
Pointing
doing
through.
there?
Well, I was a reporter and they said, "Oh, he's at UClan. Can you go down and see
What's
if you can get..."
UClan for
He is in a
don't
clan.
Exactly. University of Central Lancashire. I was a Lancashire reporter. And he said he's there giving some talk to a load of other Tories. And,
Like yourself.
Yeah. And can you go down and then I just blagged it in, like, because I acted like I should have been there. Like,
So you don't get bigger than that, does it?
do you know what I mean?
Well,
But it was crazy.
like I just told you.
Yeah, he got into
Midget
Bobby
man.
Charlton. Bobby Charlton's better than David Cameron.
No, I didn't say better. I said bigger. He's got a
How many goals
security
has
detail. He
David
lives in a-
Cameron
in a-
scored for United? None.
Has he not?
No.
Not even in the
Bobby
90s when
Charlton
everyone
scored
go on.
loads.
No, of course. I mean, it does make
I get your
sense that
point,
you
yeah,
can just-
but it's that
He is Sir Jim
attitude.
Ratcliffe's favourite Prime Minister, though, so...
Yeah,
Do you know what I
that's
mean? If you just have that attitude of I need to be here,
Yeah.
what's going on,
And
get out
also
of my
bring
way.
a camera,
Yeah.
print off a lanyard, doesn't really matter what it says on it.
That's how you know when people do these things where they're like, oh, I snuck into the ring or I snuck into the... I believe it.
Even
Yeah,
now
yeah.
in 2021, whatever it is, like you can still do these sorts of things. It's not that feels like a proper 90s thing, but it's not.
Yeah,
you can still do
you
it.
can just get a bit of the old hat. Hey, remember Carl Power? What's up?
Yeah.
We all know it's not 2020, whatever he said.
It had me thinking for a minute.
I don't know what it is, but it's not that.
Did I dream?
It can't be that.
2025 happened.
21 is coming.
Here's something for you.
Go on.
Is that jumper sewn into the,
No, it's
the
like-
shirt?
it's not connected.
Because it's a
There's-
Jordan hoodie as well.
There's no
It's
jumper
very
under
easy.
here.
So you've made that yourself?
You've-
Not physically sewn it, like you put it together.
Have you
I
sewn the
didn't put
overshirt
it together,
on
no,
yourself?
dick.
Well, all right.
Oh, what? Did you wake up in it and you
like-
didn't know? Put
Oh,
hoodie's
right.
just
Sorry.
sewed
no,
in.
that's what
So
I
it is
thought.
sewed in?
Yeah, and you said no.
I said
you
you
put-
said
yeah,
and
look,
then you
it's
got all
not-
like
there's no
it.
hoodie on.
I said, is it sewn in?
Because you
And
said
said
no.
no.
Myself, you fucking...
Right, you can't. Both things can't be true. It's either sewn or it isn't. Which is it?
It's sewn, but
Right,
not by
thank you.
me.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't
By
the question,
some
was
people
it?
in a sweatshop, all right?
Right.
Is that what you want from me? Right. I've had a bit of a tangent there. Apologies, everyone.
All right.
Talking about the Europa League.
Talk about sweatshops.
I remember last season, Adam, you said the immortal phrase, I hope we don't even get into Europe. I hate the Europa League. I'm not even watching if we don't make Champions League.
I agree.
Have you forgotten about Stockholm?
I agree with what 2024 Adam said.
But now it's become the lifeline of all.
We're 15th. What do you want us to do to get? How else are we going to get into the Champions League?
Where are we actually?
We're 13th. It's just such a naysayer. But what I'm saying is, it's lucky we're in the Europa League now, isn't it? Because it's probably the easiest method to get to.
Well, we could be in the Champions League.
Yes, but then we would.
And we'd be like 100 million richer.
Yes, but then we'd have to win the fucker to be in it next season, which is never happening.
We might.
No.
This is the best time for us to be in this Europa League, isn't it?
Why?
Because there's none of them lot joining in.
Yeah, that has helped things.
Do you know what I mean?
People don't talk about that enough.
Absolutely done.
Yeah.
If I don't know,
Real Madrid,
like they've had a stinker. They're in the
City would have
Europa.
dropped in.
Yeah. And you'd be like, well, that's the end of that little adventure.
Yeah.
Whereas now you think,
Yeah, the Bilbao, Lazio, Roma, the best.
I mean,
it's
they're
gonna
good
get.
teams, but
Yeah, they're beatables.
Let's
aren't
be
they?
honest.
Bilbao did give us a proper
Oh my
lesson in the
God.
Europa League.
Although, did you watch Real
that was
Betis
unreal.
versus Bilbao the other day when Anthony was playing?
Besiktas battered them.
They weren't that good.
By the way, Anthony got man of the match.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go. We
Did
tried to
anyone
avoid
wa-
this topic,
Did anyone
and
watch?
we've somehow ended up on
You
it.
know what, I swear I spoke about this on Monday. I might be having deja vu.
No, you did.
But we're going to talk about it again. Did anybody actually watch the fucking game that gave him man of the match?
I watched the second half.
I was like, all right, he got man of the match. He must have scored or did something
was.
brilliant. Scrolling,
Betis versus Bilbao.
scrolling, like Fred Durst. And never seen a clip of a goal or nothing. Oh, he got an assist. All right, let's see the clip. He has a fucking shot from 40 yards out and the keeper spills it. It's not an assist.
It's certainly more of an assist than not.
It's a shot on target, which is more than we were seeing at Old Trafford.
That's the pro-Anthony Council unable to say anything more than that. No, he didn't even have a great game. He got man of the match because.
Do you know what? I hope he
Anthony
does get man of the match. I hope they buy him.
Yeah, buy him.
Do you know what I mean?
If he's so good, buy him.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you love him so much, buy him.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a level
It's like
where...
Dortmund with Sancho, remember that?
Yeah, we love him. He's home. And all that. Is he home? Because you kicked him out again, you absolute slum landlord.
And you leaked all
home,
the stuff about him being a little fatty.
Yeah.
Little fatty.
Remember that?
They didn't say that.
Oh, he loves playing Xbox.
Yeah, they did.
Remember
They sold him to us and then told the press about how
Shit, he was.
how
We
you
had to
couldn't
put
wake
him with
up.
Erling Haaland because he couldn't get up in the morning.
Yeah,
and
we had to
Erling
hit him over
Haaland's
the head with a
amazing, and he's
crowbar
not.
to wake him up in the morning because he slipped through his alarms. Yeah, all that stuff, and then we'll have him back, say that he's home, slag off Man United, lose the Champions League final, and fucking let him leave again.
I know.
Idiots. Anyway, do you think there is a certain quota that Amorim kind of has to hit to alleviate that pressure? I don't necessarily mean there's a list in Jim Ratcliffe's office, but let's say United get knocked out to Leicester, get knocked out to, it's quite possible we lose to Galatasaray over 2 legs, and we finish 14th.
Yeah, that's...
Do you think, how much more devastating is that than FA Cup semi-final, Europa League semi-final, finishing 10th? Like, do you worry that there's...
I feel like you just need to see something happening that's got a positive to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the last few games of the season, let's say we won the last 3 games of the season, you think 3 wins on the spin's not that's not like get the bunny out. But at least you can say, look, there's a positive end there where you can see what you're trying to do. Even like Marcus says, he's giving youngsters a chance and those youngsters are performing. And you can say, okay, even if the results aren't perhaps what you want, if the likes of Heaven and maybe seeing a bit more from Yoro and Main, who's got a settled role in this system, and you can say, okay, I can see what this manager's trying to do. I think that helps. It's just, if it's what we've seen over the last few weeks, it's just been a bit of a mess. It has, and I'm not blaming Amorim, but let's be honest, what we've seen, the Brighton game, even the Southampton game, I know we won, Bournemouth, it was just a shambles. Palace. And you're like, what's going on here? What are we doing? So I just feel like we need to see something where you go, okay, this is something to build on. And it might not necessarily be reliant on completely on those results. It might be performances. Because for me, I'm not just saying this, but the Southampton win felt worse than the Palace loss in terms of the performance. Because I think Palace...
Southampton win again?
We won 3-1 because basically Ahmad decided he was going to win the game in the last 10 minutes. Yeah. We were shocking against one of the worst Premier League teams ever. We were shocking and we made them look mint.
Yeah.
Players you barely heard of looking like they're the second coming of R9. It's like, what is this? And whereas Palace were a good team and we were all right for a bit, and then we don't know what we're doing anymore, and they scored, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So We just need to see better performances. Is the point
it needs to feel like there's some... And also, I know this is going to sound a bit niche, but sometimes there's like weird kind of stats or weird angles that will come out that can build a narrative in a positive sense. Like, do you remember, I'd never heard this as a thing before, but do you remember the season before last season, where there became this whole narrative around the amount of times United have conceded 20 shots this season? That became like a really big... another one to the list of... I've never heard a club sort of ranked on how often it concedes 20 shots or more before. But that really counted against her now, because it was like, we can't... There may even be a United have started doing this thing that no one was looking out for before, but actually under Amorim, we're second in the league on this particular thing of like chances created or,
goals conceded
or whatever. Points scored, points won. But you know what I mean? Sometimes it can be a niche positive that you can kind of build around, even if it's something we're not expecting now. So, like, it might be...
The average age of the squad is 20.
Yeah, exactly. But something that comes up where it's like, actually, week in, week out, we're one of the best teams in the league at this thing. Yeah. That actually... can be, like, do you know what I mean? Don't even necessarily have to be wins and
even
points.
If like
can be these weird little things that happen.
Even if you see like a bit of a difference with Dorgu coming into the side, it looks
like
a bit more balanced. You go, okay, that's one signing that he's asked for.
Yeah.
What could he do if you give him like another 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Even something like that might just give you something to build on and hang on to. Because I think as fans we're all with him. I worry about Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his merry band of men.
Yeah.
Surely not though with Amorim.
I mean,
they've given him the job at the worst possible time. They've not given him any signings, which, as I said earlier, I kind of understand why that hasn't happened. But you can't do all these things and then go, you know what, you're sacked.
Yeah.
Or, you know what, we're running out of patience with you, because you've not made his situation in the job any easier. You've not delivered for him any signings. You've not given him anything to kind of give him hope. So I'd find that bizarre. Also, they know if they did want to sack him, we're coming for you.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Like,
I hope,
I
hope you're right.
Because
I don't want him to sort of go anywhere for the foreseeable. I'm just worried about this sort of lack of faith if the results are poor.
Yeah,
and plus Ineos, I just don't. Part of it is I don't fully know what Ineos are about yet, because it's difficult to gauge in it, because we've had the whole Dan Ashworth thing, which was okay. They decided he's the wrong guy. They acted quickly, but it's still a bit embarrassing the fact we waited months on end and paid compensation to get some guy and then got rid of him after a few months. There was the whole interviewing of the managers when Ten Hag was still in the job. That didn't smack of a well-planned, thought out policy.
No.
That just seemed like, we don't really know what we're sure about. Then there's what they've done at Nice, which has been very scattergun, lots of managers, lots of underwhelming sort of league finishes. It's difficult to know, innit? That's the thing. It just feels like I'm not sure what they're going to do. Yeah. Part of me feels like what McCullough was saying is like, they're going to they have to stick with him. But part of me feels like, could they be a bit panicky?
We're learning about a lot of different facets of the club. We're learning about it for the first time, aren't we? So we don't really know what, everyone from Jim Ratcliffe to Berardi to Brailsford to Jean-Claude Blanc to Wilcox to Amorim. That whole chain.
Yeah, we are. We're still learning about a lot of players as well, aren't we? Because a lot of them are new, including Leny Yoro, who's been chatting to our mate Rio Ferdinand.
Great segue, Jay.
Thank you.
He's been speaking to Rio Ferdinand. Couple kind of centre-back wonder kids in their time, chatting to each other.
Can I just get the negative out of the way, though?
What?
This whole, it can be as good as Van Dijk. Just shut up, Rio. Stop it.
Is that what Rio's saying?
Like, I love Rio Ferdinand, right? He's the second best defender the Premier League has ever seen. Stop acting like Van Dijk's
second.
Yapstam. I'll die on that hill, bro. Stop acting like Van Dijk's like the benchmark for everyone. He's not. You were better than him.
Still. Like, not Fergie, Scholes, Giggs, Rio, they just...
Gary Neville does it. Like, they don't act like they just wandered into the cliff and Fergie went, you fancy playing for United for 15 years.
And then we say, we'll bring these up in like debates and stuff, and they go, well, Scholes said he's not even that good.
Yeah.
So,
oh, yeah, cool. Right, yeah. Because people don't expect other people to have any humility.
Yeah, that's it.
Because also, when you've won like 12 Premier League titles or 11, whatever it is Scholes has won, and you're sat there next to fucking Jamie Carragher, who's won none.
Yeah.
If you tell the truth about who you are and your legacy and how good you were, you look like a bit of a bully, a bit of a knob. So instead of that, they all go on the side of, I was in a great team, Fergie, and then people go, yeah, that's probably true, actually. Yeah. I mean, this team that was the Liverpool side that people go back and talk about as though it was one of the best ever, that won the fucking Champions League, where did they finish? 5th? Like, that's how good they were. But you would think everyone, like Alonso, Mascherano, Sammy Hippier, Carragher, fucking Gerrard, all of them is better than any United side because they talk like they were amazing, and the United players talk themselves down a bit.
I think
obviously bollocks.
Right. I think there's loads of different reasons. Some of him is like, I think there's a bit of an agenda, like, let's get him on my podcast, let's keep him, butter him up a little bit. And also, I think certainly with Scholes there, I think he probably don't give a shit.
No.
I think he's probably not bothered whether people think he is the greatest English midfielder ever or not.
No.
I think he don't care.
But there is like Andy Cole is like that. Generally speaking, like he's very humble, right? But then it got to a point with him where he was like, all right, I'm fed up. Like,
yeah, come on,
I'm fed up of all this now. And I wonder if it gets to a case where he goes and starts to go, all right, everyone, chill out. Because it was actually
when it crosses the lines, just being absolutely disrespectful, which sometimes it does get like. And like what you're saying, McAway, I hate when people go. It happens all the time on social media. They'll go like, oh well, he said it himself. Such and such a player is better than him. You think, but he wasn't though, was he?
No.
Like you must know that.
And also, a lot of the people discussing it, because I'm of the age where, if you're any younger than me, you didn't see Scholes at his peak. Like, I only just did. Like, my first proper season that I remember properly is 99 is like my first ever memory, and then the early 2000s where I started watching properly, and you sort of get it. And by then, Scholes was in his late 20s. So I saw the tail end of him at his best. But if you're 23 or 25, unless you've gone back and watched full games, all you're seeing is goals and assists and what he said about himself. So I can understand it to a certain degree.
Me and Rory had this thing where our goal is to keep Ryan Giggs in all these conversations. Because people keep forgetting about him.
Yeah.
And some of that may be his own fault, in a way. But at the same time, like, he was the bollocks.
Yeah.
And you get people going, fucking Riyad Mahrez is better than him or something. It's like, Riyad Mahrez is an amazing player, but let's chill out.
You might get 1, maybe even 2 or 3 titles if you're just good at United during that era.
Anderson.
Yeah. But you don't get 13.
No, come on.
You don't fluke your way to 13 titles.
Also, Fergie showed he was not scared to get rid of someone.
Yeah. And he kept him, not only in the squad, but pretty much in the team for almost
also because back
all
then,
that time.
There was a point where you had to play like 10 league games, and I think it's gone down and down and down.
Yeah.
But like, he had to be playing a lot of games every season up until being 40. It wasn't like he was just in the squad injured or not playing ever. Like, back in those days, you actually had to play like a substantial portion of the season to get a league medal. And obviously he did more than just play, but people, it's like he was just, Giggs was there while everyone else was doing all the hard work, and obviously that wasn't the case.
Well, because he doesn't have a 30-goal season, people go, which is crap.
Yeah, and they compare him to like Salah and other players that are prolific in that sense. And it's not the same. Mo Salah's not
a different role.
That's what I mean. Mo Salah's not up and down the wing crossing it in, is it?
No.
You know what I mean? He's not even playing on the left-hand side.
No.
It's like, come on. It's a completely different position.
It is. So, back to this interview.
Sorry.
We've got carried away there, but I think it was right to do it. Yoro's been talking about sort of some of the standards of Amorim in training, so I'll go through a couple of the quotes. So he said, in training, it's really, I would say, hard, but it's important. We have a lot of training, and for him, training is really important too, because you play a game like you train. The most important thing is to be really good in training. If you're not working, if you're lazy in training, he won't like you, he'll kill you. It's normal because, you play like you train. And they said as well, he's really strict on this because to win games and trophies, you need to be disciplined outside the pitch, you need to be punctual. There are sort of hints and little suggestions here and there, and you see it, little flickers of it in the press conference. He's not just a smiley, charismatic guy, Amorim, is he? He's got a little bit of an edge to him.
Well, Laurie said it earlier this week, didn't he? He was saying about how he can be harsh, and we've seen that. I mean, let's face facts. What he said about Rashford, he knew what he was saying when he spoke about the goalkeeping coach playing or whatever. Quite brutal. Yeah. Like, he's got that edge to him, and you can't just be dead nice to everyone all the time. You're going to be a successful football manager, especially not in this era. So you've sort of seen it. We've seen the way he's handled certain things with Garnacho getting dropped, with Rashford basically just getting ostracised from the squad. He's got that edge to him, and we need a bit of that. And I thought, from what I've said, I've not seen the full thing yet, but from what I've watched the Leny Yoro interview, get my words out.
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Exactly. He came across really well, and he's been pretty honest about the manager and what he's about, and he seems to be responding to it.
Yeah.
It's not easy for him as well. As a young player, he just got to a club, and then the manager that brought him in, or the manager that was there when he arrived, he's sacked before he even kicks a ball for him.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often at all, does it?
Do you reckon?
In a weird way.
Right, because I thought that might
because
be
he's never been scarred as being part of that team.
Maybe.
That got the manager sacked.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just a sort of unique situation for young players to deal with, and I think he's.
I also think I think he's got a balance to him where he is that can be a bastard sometimes, smash up a TV, call you the worst team ever. But then I think he, like we've seen with Garnacho, reintroducing him to the team, he defends a lot of his players in the press. Like when he goes after them as a whole.
Yeah.
Never, and I know we can say the Rashford thing, but he very rarely, he's not going for individuals all the time and all that.
He talks about standards, and he talks about, this is my line, and anyone that dips below that, I think.
Like when he said the Rashford thing, he never mentioned Rashford.
He tried to make that.
We knew he was about. We knew he was talking about Rashford.
He's talking about Rashford because Rashford is the only one that has clearly publicly stepped below that line. But he's talking about anyone that steps below that line. He never comes out after games and says, "This guy was crap today. I really didn't like this," or he needs to do. When he gets asked about someone, he's always positive, and he might put a little shit sandwich in there where he'll say, we need to work harder. Like he said about Mainu, didn't he? He's not the complete player yet, like some people think maybe he is, but there's loads of talent there. And if he works and improves, he can be the great player. But he's never. Sometimes with Jose, he would get mean, and he'd talk about people not having a brain, or he'd talk about this, that, and the other. He's not like that. But clearly, smashing tellies up, ranting at the team. He won't like you, he'll kill you from Leny Yoro. It's clear that there's a line, and you don't cross it. And if you do, you'd be playing at Aston Villa for the rest of the season or whatever it may be. I think that he has to be like that, especially with.
You're a better team than us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and if you don't like it, you go to a Champions League team 8 places above us. Yeah, that'll teach you. But yeah, it is. I think more so than ever we have to do that, because one of the big things that you can't really put a number on or a stat on is what it's like to be in the dressing room, and whether people are afraid of losing and afraid of the ramifications of not trying hard and not working. And by the sounds of it, that's something that generally has been below par over the last 10 years, but has slipped even further than ever recently. So if he's coming in and trying to pick the standards up, and he clearly is, that can only be a good thing, surely.
Yeah, definitely. We need a bit of that, don't we? And it's like, look, we've been crying out for this, and we've been crying out for a bit of balance. We spoke about it with Day on Inside United. You want a manager who can put an arm around a player when he needs to, and can give him a rollicking when he needs to, and he seems to be that guy. I know it's only early days, but
what we think about Leny, though, I like him,
Yeah, I
think he looks the bollocks when he plays.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I know we've had a few games where he had he had a bad one against Southampton, didn't he? But I think it has to, those kind of lessons, you don't mind them when you're that age, new in the league and stuff. But generally speaking, he looks composed, calm, good in possession, good aerially. I like him. You can give him the ball under pressure.
I was going to say, he's not too frantic or nervous. He doesn't have that kind of panicky demeanour, does he? He looks like someone, you can tell why he's been playing from being an 18-year-old, because you watch him, and other than visually his face looks young, but he doesn't look like a kid.
The timing of his tackles always seems to be spot on as well.
No, he looks really good. And like you said, he's had a couple of sort of lessons, but you're going to win your 19. Most of 95% of what he does is exactly what you'd want, isn't it? Speaking of defenders, we mentioned it at the start. Luke Shaw suffered a man. I don't need to cut to Adam straight away. I haven't even asked him yet, Ethan. Bloody hell!
What do you want from me? What do you want? Do you want me to say some mad stuff? Is that what you want?
Just take it away, Zed. No.
Why so are Luke Shaw me?
Suffered a minor setback. I think he's not started a game for United in around 10 months. What are your thoughts when you heard that he's going to be out for another couple of weeks, maybe?
I think it's quite sad, to be honest with you. I do feel sorry for someone whose career is blighted with injuries, and it must be very disheartening for them. It must be very hard for them every time they have to come back from another injury, another setback. Mentally, it must be draining. Physically, obviously, it's draining on his body.
Yeah,
he seems to be made of paper mache, doesn't he? But shouldn't have gone away with England. Shouldn't have forced himself back. Shouldn't have rushed back. And I've agreed. Steve's been tweeting on Turbo recently about it.
Yeah, he's on your bus.
I agree with a lot of what he says about it. Like,
well, what's he saying? I've missed this.
So people were saying, he only rushed back for one game, and it's like, well, there's a lot more than that one game that goes into it. It's all the training, all the sessions, or everything that you're rushing yourself back for, the intensity that you have to get up to quickly, all those kind of things. And we've also seen, like, in the past, before his injury, Van Gaal was critical of his fitness. Like, it's not just been injuries which has been his downfall. Is he doing all the right things around and off the pitch?
Yeah,
I don't know. Obviously, he does pick up a lot of serious injuries, and that horrible injury he picked up in Eindhoven, has probably kind of had a big impact on his career.
Were you there for that?
Yeah, as high as a kite.
Horrible.
But we did a video for him and stuff after that. I remember it, like, get well soon kind of, and he responded to it, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah. And
ultimately, Man United can't rely on him. He obviously prioritises England a little bit, which, if I couldn't care less about international football. Obviously, for some people it's the pinnacle, and if that's the case, fair enough. But you fucked us in the summer. He really did, I think. And maybe he still gets injured further down the road or whatever, but that was a big mistake, man. The trouble is, how do we get rid of him? He signed a new contract recently.
He's still got 2 years left on his deal, I think.
Yeah,
not
2027. Yeah, I don't know. You're in a sort of Martial situation, aren't you, where at times...
Martial was available more than this clown.
No, well, regardless, you're still worried about, if you're a buying club, what are you gonna spend on him? Because he's on decent wages, more than his availability is worth. Maybe it's a pay-as-you-play thing, but I ain't seen one of them since Michael Owen.
It's going to be one of them cycles with him where he'll probably have a pre-season.
Yeah.
He'll probably fool us into going, Luke Shaw could be the, could cover Lissandro while Lissandro's out, etc.
Yeah.
And then he'll get to September and he'll just be injured again.
Yeah.
It is sad. Look,
it's
sad, and I feel sorry for him, but we have to just say, time's time, Petal.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for him. I've always been a bit on the fence with Luke Shaw, because I think he's been a bit inconsistent. Like, he'll have one good season and one season where he's not great, and it's like, I don't know, I felt like the jury was out on him for about 6 years, and I know he had that injury. But now I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking, I do actually feel for the kid, because he just can't get fit.
One of the mad stats that I saw was Bruno, who joined the club like 5 years after him. He's like 6 years after him. He's got 10 appearances away from matching how many appearances he's played.
It feels a bit like, not the same, but like the whole Eric Bailly thing. You remember when people used to compare Eric Bailly's appearances to Maguire's, and it was like Maguire got to 200 appearances, whatever, well before Bailly did, even though he'd been there earlier.
That's the thing, we're not going to get anything for him.
It's just one of those where his body's letting him down.
I think it's a wages thing, and we spoke about this with a few journalists now. Nathan Salt was in, Laurie was in. I think what Ineos are big on at the minute is the wages. You look at the top earners, and I might, forgive me if I miss a couple, but you're looking at Casemiro, Rashford, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw. Who else would be up there? Eriksen is another one. Most of those, other than probably Maguire and Bruno, they could all leave in the summer. And I think
Maguire could leave in the summer.
Okay,
the reason being
extension, but maybe he could. Yeah,
is because of wages. And two, like, it's your last chance to probably get a fee for him.
Yeah.
And
someone would actually want him
as good as he's been, we can get better.
Yeah, of course. And there's teams that would probably want him in the Premier League, or the
only trouble is you have to bring someone in now. Like, you were maybe in a position before where you brought in Aiden Heaven. You've got some defenders coming up through the ranks.
Yeah.
If Lissandro's fit, you can go, we've got Delit, we've got Lissandro, we've got Leny Yoro.
Yeah.
Get rid of him, but you'd have to bring someone in now.
Yeah. But
do you worry about?
Go on.
It's just on that, like the experience in the back four. Do you think you need him for that? Because if Evans goes,
nah.
I mean, Delit's got a lot of experience.
I think he's a little bit like Andre Onana,
Premier League experience.
Remember when we were talking about Onana the other day, how like he's always going to have a moment in him. I think Maguire's kind of like that.
Yeah.
He's always going to have a moment. I think just...
I'll probably keep Maguire, mate.
Yeah. But so other than Bruno and maybe Maguire, of those like top 8 biggest earners, you could see 6 of them leaving. Whichever 6 we get money for.
And we've already let a lot go over the last
I know.
couple of windows, 3 or 4 windows.
Yeah. So I think that's a big thing about this. Luke Shaw, even less about, or as much of the injuries, I think it's just you're on a lot of money. You're not really a centre back. You're not a wing back. I think they're just going to sweep everything
who'll have
out.
him?
Who?
Chelsea.
Yeah.
They love a signing.
They'll
sign anyone now.
They sign young players, and
Mate.
they're not going to sign Luke Shaw. They've just got rid of Ben Chilwell, who's basically the same person.
He's
not
not
as
a
good.
lot better.
No, but he's always injured and he's a left back.
Yeah. They work well. Luke Shaw and Reece James in the same team, it works.
Yeah, I mean, they can hold hands on fucking in their hospital beds.
Bless him.
It's sad, but it's not our problem.
And
man.
obviously
well,
Martinez
he is
as
our
well.
problem, but we need to get rid.
Martinez as well.
Martinez is very different to me because they're fucking ACL. It's not.
I know. Bad that, innit? It's really
And
shit.
he was
that.
fit all season this season.
I know.
Maybe we will get to the stage with him where it's the same, where we're like, fucking hell,
He's only
injured.
27 as well, so by the time he gets back, he'll be 28.
He's not going to be back till 2026.
Devastating. That.
At his best.
Yeah. So yeah.
He's such a vital player for what Amorim's trying to do, and the character as well.
Yeah.
He's always up for it. One of the few we've got who you can actually say he's up for it no matter what.
Yeah.
And now he's out for potentially a calendar
Do you think
year.
he could get back in time to be part of pre-season?
No.
Martinez, I'd be amazed if that happens.
What's that? No,
No.
it's not 5 months, is it? It's 4.
No. Well, no. It's more. It's 5 months. 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
I think
But I don't see it. That would be like perfect, best case scenario. Like it's stunning
Just
recovery.
don't- I
You're
mean,
looking more like 9 to 12
you don't
months,
know.
aren't you? Probably.
We've got to make sure we just don't rush him as well. We've done that in the past with him. We've rushed him back. He's not been fully fit, and it's cost us and it's cost him.
It's devastating, isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
devastating. Right. I think that's a nice place to end it, unfortunately.
Devastating.
Yeah, exactly. We'll be back tomorrow with the watch long for the Leicester game. We'll see if we're
Friday
still in the
night.
FA Cup after this. Friday night kickoff's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you do us a favour as well?
Oh.
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button, people.
Oh yeah, hit the subscribe button, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for joining us at home. Let us know your thoughts on the rest of the season and on, basically Amorim taking things over, putting his stamp on things. It's good to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
What
it's
we
good
want.
to see.
Rude, don't you dare.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking dare.
Don't do it. I can almost see him sort of apologetically going down the tunnel after beating us on Nistelrooy. We're sort of still clapping him, but at the same time he's like, oh, I've won, but sorry for tarnishing everything. Can't do it.
Don't you dare, Rude.
Don't you dare. See you in a bit.